This is the aftermath of my Loki reaction. Loki returning for season 2. I'm guessing, and from what I just looked up afterwards, is that Loki will be returning for season 2. And the end of this, as seen, as I can show, all the little branches that were made by this stupid ass girl, by what happened with her killing the Conqueror here. And this is what happens to the timeline. As you all can see, I'll play a little couple seconds of it. All that, everything how it interconnects and everything else where it meets other timelines. None of these seem to have connected yet. Here's a point where it could connect. Another point later on where it could connect because this happened and this changed and this coming up. This has to connect with something. It's about to get boxed in. All of this happening, every single one of all of these little branches of little space time that every single tiny little fray can take, this one big decision left to all these little ass decisions. Sorry for my language. This bigger decision, all of this happened because of that, all the different things that could branch off to because of this one decision right here, and as well as this one, a huge ass decision. This being the main timeline, which they tried to keep, and which a lot of the timeline follows until later on, which of course is always going to happen. This is all gonna probably, this would eventually, if you think about it, be as thick as this, and it would fill up the entire thing of all these little branches that go everywhere in the space, just filling up endless possibilities throughout everything else, right? This is probably where, because this is still in the MCU, this is happening. Just like WandaVision happened, just like Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier happened. All of this is all still happening. So this right here, this little thin line right here, this could be Bucky and Sam's little path. And then if they had failed, or what's his face took the super serum early and became the real Captain America, or Hydra got to him and it went this way, and this whole big ass branch timeline right here is if Captain America was Hydra instead of, like, every single thing. And that's probably where the what if show is probably going to come into place, is if all of these little things is different things of any number of these, every episode of What If could probably fit just on this right here, let alone all these little different timelines everywhere, which is crazy, which is how there's so many different worlds, so many different perfect alternate realities, and how thin you can see like some of these things are versus how much there is, and how much that goes off this direction is still going and still spreading in this many different directions. That's crazy to think about. Play this again. Just how many different spots it's going out into the universe, just filling it all up without the Conqueror, or the version of the Conqueror, instead of the version of him keeping the peace. As we see towards the end of this episode here, he's right here in the main, in this whatever timeline he got injected in, or came out to, got sent to, because of how much it changed with her killing him and him no longer restricting it. Those aren't the same versions of Mobius and the other girl as before. They don't even recognize him. They think he's an analyst. So it's but it's all in the same time space, right? When that split happened, it all happened at the same time, and that this place being out of time, the center of time is what this place is, and that's why he created it. To my knowledge, he created this timeline. Well, he created a space outside of time, which is constant with the flow of time, which is, I think, how they explained it earlier. And that's what this place is, and that's how he can control it. Because the TVA is probably, this is here, but where he's at is the future of this time, of this space, of this, the TVA out of time, right? Which is why all of time is circling around that one area, because this is outside of time. That that void is the end of time, which is outside of time. If that makes any sort of sense. As if this line right here on the bottom, this is it. This is the time, the main timeline. All these different variations could be scribbling around. Sorry, you couldn't see my mouse. All of that like circular thing is rotating this timeline. As this timeline moves, he only had knowledge up to here, per se. That's where that Kang died, or that last being, whatever he wanted to call himself. He called himself the Conqueror, so only person in the comics that called himself the Conqueror and wore armor and the little headset that he was wearing and his little what was it? His little back in time shenanigans that he was doing.
You two would. The TVA. Pure of heart.
He's so afraid of.
On top of his own.
See, as he explained it and everything else like that, right? That's Kang. That's comic book Kang. Right there. Same helmet, same everything. That's him. Right? So, with all of that being said, and all these little random ass timelines bursting out everywhere, and everything else like that, this space that they're in is outside of all that. And this is, so that's like the constant, the outside of time. Because outside of time, there is no time, but time still moves around no time, the void, the space out of time. And I'm guessing the TVA moves along that one singular line outside of time, which is really weird to think about. It's pretty cool, to be honest. But with that, of course, Loki being Loki season 2, there being tons of different things, and I'm sure if I bring up the, hold on, give me 1 second. Let's do this. Close this. Open this up. Doctor Strange, multiverse of madness, might I add. And I look at the cast. Let's see about this. Right here. Second character there. Of course, we have Tobey Maguire, of course, Doctor Strange's pal. Doctor Strange, Wanda Maximoff. Miss America, which I don't even know who that is, but cool. Wong is this man right here. Who is probably, of course, outside of time. Kang being probably the main villain, if anything, or they'll encounter someone else, right? A different Miss America instead of Captain America. That's a twist. or of course, Spider-Man being a different Spider-Man, and then of course, if we go to uh, the next Spider-Man, which is we'll see. Hold on. What is the next Spider-Man called? Um, wow, I'm typing Multiverse of Madness. What is the next Spider-Man? No Way Home? Spider-Man No Way Home. If we click on that, hello. Let's look at the cast. There's Tobey Maguire again, Tom Holland, Benedict Cumberbatch right there, Electro. Random ass timelines. If they all converged and they all started converging after a certain point, which is probably where the MCU is going to pick up, unless of course they solve it, which I doubt that they will. Which is another way, of course, that stuff like Venom 2, Venom 2 finds its way into the multiverse and different stuff like that, and which also explains what is it? Was it Morbius? Like all this way that Marvel plans ahead. Of course, they say that they're 5 years. It's Morbius, not Mobius. Morbius. 2022. Morbius being another thing. Michael Keaton. This is in the Sony universe, right? So how can this Michael Keaton be in both unless they're doing it by connecting it via that kind of timeline? Like all the randomness, all the everything just comes together in spread apart. This is where he goes across and builds his little team. Maybe he's the one that brings them together, or Osborn in son of a bitch, No Way Home. If we look at the cast again, see if we can see anybody different. Of course, Matt Murdock from he's from that one, the Netflix universes, and we haven't seen any of the Defenders in from the series Netflix series on them. So it's like you don't know who. Let's click on this real quick. Of course, J.K. Simmons, Peter Parker. We have Doctor Strange, Electro, Doctor Octopus, right there. Flash Thompson. There's not nothing different. High school student, bystander, police guard, high school student, uncredited, and of course, when we go to the full list, those actors that are suspected to be in there aren't in here because they haven't given up their role, and they're not going to put those those guys in there, right? Um, Jesus, there's a lot of freaking names. Shoosh. Anyway, but yeah, so it's like everything could be, connected in certain ways, and it's like you just don't know who's who because he has his role untaken off. I mean, it's not there. Neither does Matt Murdock. I mean, well, his name is there. He's Matt Murdock. He's Matt Murdock is Daredevil. So they confirmed this right here. Tom Holland's brother is a drug dealer. Pretty cool. Um, but that's my take on what this all turns into. Um, so it's just crazy about all this just that's all of those possibilities, and this is legitimate a multiverse of madness, which is probably where it gets its name. And anybody who thinks that Marvel doesn't think ahead, that is literally the title of the movie was released before Loki was even announced. Like they had all of this already planned out. It's already all there. So it's crazy. And the Michael Keaton being in the Morbius or Mobius, and then they said it was going to come out on a certain date, but then it didn't. And you're like, well, was it actually going to? And it felt just like an extra teaser trailer, but I guess any of them could drop, and this is explaining it all. But that's if, I mean, of course, with those with the Sony movies, this is just a way they could connect it, and that's just my take on how they could connect everything because this is insane of a possibility for this to happen, and all these random ass timelines just doing everything crazy is probably going to make Loki one of the most powerful beings ever as well. He could come back as a main villain some other time as well. He was the first Marvel villain. I'm sure they wouldn't mind bringing him back as a Marvel villain again. Well, again, that would also leave Kong. Is that his name? Kang. I think it's Kang the Conqueror. Is it Kang? Kang the Conqueror. Yeah, he's right there. That's the same actor. Yeah. Blah 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 blah. Sorry. Pre-Kang, Nathaniel Richards is a possible descendant of Reed Richards, time traveling father Nathaniel. Blah 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 blah. First appearance. I just want a brief thing about who he is. As appearing in the modern comic books published by Marvel Comics, the character is frequently depicted as an opponent of the Avengers, a time-traveling entity. Several alternate versions of Kang have appeared throughout Marvel's titles over the years, including his respective future and past heroic selves, Immortimus and Iron Lad. That's pretty sick. Well, Iron Lad is probably the kid though. That's probably not going to be him because he's the kid from Iron Man 3 that was at Iron Man's funeral. That's most likely who that guy is going to be. Um, He will also reprise his role in Quantumania. If I look at this picture, if you can tell me that can I expand this, please? I know I don't. I just want to inspect it. I didn't want to do that. I don't know how this would work. Just fuck this. Anyway, close that out. When that's another thing we can look up right here. Hold on. Quantumania. There we go. There he is, Kang the Conqueror. He's listed right there. Yellow Jacket's coming back. Why is Ant-Man not on this list? I bug you out a little bit. That Ant-Man is not part of the cast of Ant-Man. It's a little odd. Nope, I don't want to do that. I want to look at the cast. So they confirmed all these roles, but not the actual Ant-Man. A little odd. Marvel knows what it's doing. So why is everybody else but Ant-Man on this page? Even his father. Very interesting. Paul Rudd, he's right there. He is there. Okay, so it is here. Kang the Conqueror. See if we look at his and see what other movie copy, what other stuff he has upcoming. See if there's other different Marvel. I'm sure that they're not until they confirm it. Movies and TV shows. There we go. Ant-Man and the Wasp right there. He doesn't even have Loki here. It's not listed. Loki's not even listed on his stuff. Anyway, that's beside the point. My main point is all of this is happening, and this is all just an aftermath of what this is. And if anybody, hands down, wants to tell me that DC is better than Marvel now, you can fuck off. Just saying. Um, but yeah, that's my reaction. That's of course the aftermath of. As I'm seeing the final episode of Loki. There's only 6 episodes. I swear there was gonna be 9. There was 9 of the other two, but only 6 of Loki, which kind of sucks. And we're probably gonna have to wait a long time after for us to get another season, let alone after Multiverse of Madness and everything else, and see where all that picks up. Because season 2 isn't gonna start right here. It's just not. There's no reason why it's gonna start right at this spot. It may like explain it a little bit, but it it's not gonna start here.
Who are you? What's your name?
Well, it may start here, is what I'm saying. The second season may start here, but it's probably gonna fast forward. You know, either that or this is where he's gonna come from in the multiverse of madness. It's gonna show this kind of scene, but it's really weird to me because it's. I think somebody said that Kevin Feige or somebody else, they had said these TV shows aren't a necessity to watch. They seem pretty much a necessity to be able to understand what the fuck is going on, especially Loki. Vision, maybe not, maybe. I mean, she's gonna come with a new suit and like spellbook powers, which they're probably gonna explain in the multiverse of madness. But then Vision, Vision was dead, and then Vision's gonna automatically be back because he is back. And without watching that, you're not gonna see how Vision's back. Um, Captain Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean that they bridged that pretty well with him giving him the shield, and then when he comes back, he's already gonna have the shield, and he's gonna be the new Captain America. That blends together. You'll miss out the bonding between him and Bucky, but you could technically assume what happens. But this makes absolutely no sense to say that any of that would happen. Yeah, I guess they could explain how there's tons of multiverses, but for them all to go off at the same time and just automatically just start merging with everything and everybody coming in of random spots, like it's that's crazy. It's crazy. That'll be the end of my reaction. Sorry you guys won't get to see this. If you guys would like to go see this, it will be on my Twitch for the next 6 days. um, as a backup video. Of course, it's going to have this entire explanation at the end of it. This was a recording after I watched the whole series, the whole last episode. But yeah, peace.